I work as a counselor at a summer camp in Southern California. The place is deep in the woods, so we get all sorts of animals wandering through, from deer and foxes to coyotes howling in the distance, and even a mountain lion that's been spotted nearby. The camp also has an occasional spiritual or haunted vibe. There are a couple of creepy, strange spots, and some signs that people may have lived in the area long ago, plus the usual ghost stories. One night, after putting my kids to bed, I was standing outside our cabin talking to another counselor when my friend Sadie came running by with her entire teenage girls. Cabin, maybe 12 of them, all dressed in black and absolutely freaking out. She shouted that they thought they heard a ghost and that once her kids were asleep, she'd meet me back there to explain and investigate. Sadie is normally very level-headed and not the type to panic, so this definitely caught my attention. She met me back by my cabin about 30 minutes later and explained what had happened. She had taken her campers on a night hike and had them all dress in black and pretend to be ninjas. Everything was fun until, on the way back, they passed a particularly dark part of the trail and heard, off in the distance beyond the tree line, what sounded like a faint "help" from a small child. But each time they heard it, the sound got more distorted until it no longer sounded human, yet still somehow sounded like a child calling for help. Naturally, they all panicked and ran. Sadie and I decided to be responsible counselors and go investigate the sound of what might be a child yelling for help. As we walked toward that area of the trail, we heard it too. It didn't sound like a small child anymore. It sounded like some sort of creature, screeching its best imitation of a child, and it didn't seem to come from any single point. It sounded like it was echoing across the entire mountainside. We immediately ran back to the safety of the main part of camp, where we told the story to anyone who would listen. The next day, the camp director held a meeting where they told us to reassure our campers not to panic if they heard bobcats in the forest. They're harmless, but they can make a high-pitched, yelping sound at night. Our friends didn't let us forget that one for the rest of the summer. This story turns out to be funny in the end, but my friend and I were absolutely terrified. It happened 7 years ago, and I'll never forget the fear I felt. We went fishing at a small lake in the middle of a forest near where we lived. We only brought the basics: fishing rods, bait, food, and a flashlight. We liked fishing at night, so we arrived at the lake around 8 p.m. My flashlight stopped working, leaving us completely in the dark. Luckily, my friend said he had brought some candles. We lit them and went back to fishing. After a while, I noticed the candles were all different colors: white, black, red, and yellow. I have to apologize for the ignorance and prejudice, but in Brazil, colored candles are often associated with black magic rituals. My grandparents told me many stories when I was younger. I also knew my friend's mother participated in religious practices involving these candles, which are often unfairly viewed in a negative way. And back then, influenced by other people, I believed it was something bad. I was scared out of my mind. I told my friend, and he immediately started laughing. He said everything was fine and that his family used candles like these all the time. I tried to calm down and went back to fishing. Suddenly, a strong breeze blew through and extinguished every candle at once. I said, "Forget this. If you want to stay, you can, but I'm leaving." My friend said he was leaving too, and admitted he was also scared. We grabbed our things and started walking back through the forest. With each step, the tension grew. I was sweating, and my heart was pounding. Then I started hearing footsteps behind us, as if someone or something was walking with us. I didn't say anything because I knew it would make things even worse. But then my friend suddenly said, "Man, something is behind us." I replied, "I know, I hear it too." At that moment, we both sprinted as fast as we could. I even lost my flashlight and one of my slippers. When we finally reached the main street out of the forest, we stopped to catch our breath and drink some water. And then, the footsteps started again, getting closer. We decided to stand our ground and see what it was. It was a calf. We immediately burst into laughter and felt like two complete cowards. In the end, we even petted him and gave him some water. He was adorable. When I was a kid, around 8 or 9, my mom, grandma, brothers, and I went camping at a small campground about 2 hours from the town we lived in. We went there a lot and even had a particular campsite we had slowly built up over the years. On this trip, we had my aunt and uncle's dogs with us since they were away on military tours. Both dogs were well-trained bird dogs, normally very calm and friendly. But on the first night of this trip, Star started growling in the tent at about 1 in the morning. My mom, thinking something was outside, armed herself and went to investigate with the dogs. As soon as she stepped out of the tent, Star and Ariel refused to let her move toward the far edge of the campsite. They both got into full attack mode while simultaneously herding my mom toward the car, keeping themselves positioned between her and the tent. By that point, we were all awake, and all of us kids under 10 were terrified. For a reason she still can't fully explain today, my mom packed up the campsite in the middle of the night, got us all into the car, and decided to head home. About 10 minutes after leaving, a car began following us, and the dogs climbed into the back of the vehicle, growling nonstop. By then, everyone was in a near panic, and my brothers cried the entire car ride home. As we approached town, there's a huge bridge you have to cross to get in. The car was still following us, and being a kid, you tell yourself stories to pretend everything is fine, that maybe the people in that car were scared too. But as soon as we started across the bridge, the car behind us stopped, turned around, and sped back the way we came. We finally stopped at a gas station, and everyone was on the verge of a meltdown. My mom went inside to buy cigarettes, but when she came back out, Star wouldn't let her get back into the car until she could see her clearly. That experience, along with another camping trip a few years later, convinced me that camping is no longer my thing.